Hey, what's up? I'm Christina and welcome to another episode of Baking with Chickens Live. I am in my flower garden today and we're going to talk about edible flowers. I'm going to show you how to make my pressed shortbread flour cookies, and I'm going to tell you all about these edible flowers and how to cook with them. You ready? All right, let's go back down into the kitchen and let's go make some cookies. Hello everybody, happy Sunday, happy Easter. Check it out, I've got my Easter basket. I picked all my flowers, I got my eggs for today's cookies, and I cannot wait to show you how to make these beautiful pressed flour cookies made out of edible flowers. All right, so thank you for putting up with our technical difficulties here at the beginning. This is a live show, anything can happen. If you are baking along today and you want to make these shortbread cookies, the link is on my website at bakingwithchickens.com, and it's also down in the description below. Get all your ingredients together. You can bake along, or you can grab your glass of wine, grab a cup of coffee, your drink of choice, kick back and hang out and watch. Hey Miles, you can wait a second please. So I'm going to show you how to make these flour shortbread cookies. Now they're super easy, they're really easy to make, and these require no eggs. Yeah, there's no eggs. And because I'll tell you what, so even though I have all these eggs and about 5 other cartons of eggs sitting here in the house, which I'll show you later, I can't use any of them, and I will tell you why. So stick around when we have a quick moment. I'll explain to you why I can't use any of these eggs, which really sucks. But it is an interesting nerdy chicken fact and fun thing you probably didn't know. So let's get started with this recipe, all right? Bok, bok, bake? Mr. Baking with Chickens?
Well,
Bok, bok, bake.
yeah, bok bake. Do we talk about participate in live chat?
Oh, yes.
And letting us know if something's funky on your end. It really helps us.
Yeah, so there's a live chat. Don't forget, please drop your comments. You have to log in to be able to chat. And if you see any issues, please let us know. That really helps. And I love it when you ask me questions. So drop any and all questions that you have, because that makes it more fun. So, all right. Let's get going. So let me show you the ingredients I have for these cookies. All right, so the recipe on my site is for lemon chamomile cookies, but really you can use any herbs. So whatever you got on hand totally works, and I'll talk about that. All right, so for this, I've got 1 cup / 2 sticks of butter. So room temp butter, you want it to be soft. I've got my granulated sugar here. I've also got 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then I have my herbs to flavor the shortbread. So without these herbs, the shortbread cookies are basically just butter, sugar, flour, and salt. Magic, right? It's really simple. Super cool. However, you flavor your shortbread cookies with any herbs you want. You can mix and match sweet, savory. I love the lemon chamomile. Those were really delicious. If you have that, you use lemon zest, a little lemon juice, and some crushed chamomile. Today, I don't have chamomile today, and I don't have any lemons. So I'm actually going to make mine with some Earl Grey tea and lavender. So here, I'll show you what I have. So I'm just using a tea bag. I have some Earl Grey tea bags here that are already finely ground, and I just basically put about 1½ teaspoons into a little bowl. That's perfect. If you like strong Earl Grey flavor, use more. If you think it's a really overpowering scent, use a little less. There's really no right or wrong here for how you want to mix and match your herbs. If you're using fresh herbs, you want to dry them and grind them and pulverize them. And then here I have lavender. So this is lavender that I picked from my garden. We have these huge, crazy lavender plants. They've been blooming. I picked the flowers and I dried them. And then, see, check it out. There you go. Look at how cute that is. Can you see? Over here? Yeah, let's do this camera. Camera 2. There you go. See, yeah, so I dried these beautiful lavender flowers, and I am using this beautiful scented lavender. I ground it all up in my mortar and pestle, and those are going into my cookies. All right, so the first thing we need to do is add the butter into my mixer. So we're gonna grab my stand mixer and my paddle attachment. If you're making this at home and you don't have a stand mixer, you can totally use the hand beaters. That works too. Okay, so butter in. And room temp butter is really important here, you guys, because if you don't have room temp butter and it's still cold, it is not gonna mix nicely with your sugar. And when I was kind of newer to baking and I was impatient, I'm still impatient, but I've learned a lot since then, I would just be like, oh, whatever, it's fine. It is not fine. Take the time to get room temp butter. Soften it if you have to, because it makes all the difference of making beautiful buttery shortbread. Okay, so I'm gonna do butter and sugar into the bowl, and we're gonna cream it. So the reason why most cookie recipes start with butter and sugar and you cream it is because the sugar and the butter whipped together is gonna give you that fluffy cookie texture. All right, so give me 1 sec, and we're just gonna cream this. So you should have nice whippy butter. That sugar is nicely incorporated, and then I'm going to scrape down the sides before the next step. Ugh. How's everybody doing today? How's your Sunday? Anyone have plans for Easter? What you guys? Is this what you're doing? Let's see. Mr. Bacon Chickens, you all right over there?
Yeah, I'm just double checking our stream. Again, if anybody wants to throw out a comment to say we can hear you okay, we can see you okay, so that I hope we're not broadcasting in a vacuum.
We might be. Aren't we all broadcasting in a vacuum? Who knows? Who knows? But we just keep on going because this is fun. And I love doing this with you guys. And I appreciate you for being here.
Did you talk about the bake sales?
Not yet. Oh, that's a great idea. So I am actually going to be making these cookies for an upcoming bake sale. So Bakers Against Racism is doing another activation during April and May to fight against Asian hate in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. So if you've been following the news, there's been a lot of anti-Asian sentiment. A lot of Asian individuals, mostly older Asians, are being attacked in the streets. It's really messed up. You know, a friend of mine, her father passed away, and her mother got a note from a neighbor telling her to go back to her country. And you know, honestly, it's really messed up, and it makes me angry. And so, you know, I sometimes feel helpless because I don't know what to do. And baking and doing something is how I know to take action. So I am putting my anger and frustration into baking, and I am going to sell the cookies that I'm making. So these pressed flour cookies for my bake sale. So I don't have a link or an order form coming up yet, but if you follow me on Instagram at Baking with Chickens, or you subscribe to my newsletter on bakingwithchickens.com/newsletter, you can go sign up there. I will send an email out with order form and all of this information coming up. But the theme is in adversity we The theme for the Bakers Against Racism bake sale is in adversity we bloom. So I thought using flowers would be very appropriate. So I'm gonna do a whole bunch of flower themed bakes, maybe some pasta. Ooh, I'm thinking about making some flour pasta here locally in LA if you wanna pick them up. So stay tuned. These are gonna be for Bakers Against Racism. And if you want to participate and join and do something, check it out. It's bakersagainstracism.com, and you can kind of do as much or as little as you want. It's really cool. So that's coming up. All right, so I've got, okay, so now my butter and my sugar is creamed. I've got my flour, I've got salt. I'm gonna mix all the dry ingredients together. So I'm gonna put the salt in, I'm gonna add in my Earl Grey tea leaves, and then I'm gonna show you my little mortar and pestle. So here I've got, so I already ground some so it wouldn't take forever, but here is some dried lavender. Now, if you don't want to do a hand ground mortar and pestle like I am because I'm a crazy person, you can just throw these in a food processor, in a Ninja, in a whatever thing you have that can pulverize herbs very finely is the best way to do it. But I like doing this hand mortar and pestle. I don't have, especially when it's small batch. So I just put them in here, and then I have this, and I just crush it. So I got this from my mom. I don't know why she had this. I inherit a lot of weird kitchen things from my mom and my grandma, and they're all very analog and manual. You know, there's a much faster way of doing this, but I don't know. I really like the art of just sitting here and that meditation of grinding your herbs. If you don't and you're like, Christina, you're crazy, just use your food processor. Well, hey, that is a great idea too. Oh, hey, you know what? Speaking of food processors, there's a really handy tool that I really enjoy that you might also like as well. Mr. Bacon Chickens, do you have that ready to go?
I absolutely do.
Awesome. Check it out. Hey. Shit in my kitchen. Welcome to Shit in my kitchen. This is the segment where I show you all the weird, cool stuff that I have in my kitchen, and I talk about how it works, whether I like it, and you can decide if it's something that you want too. So I'm going to show you my Cuisinart Smart Stick setup thing today. So I normally don't like buying gadgets because I just don't have room to store everything. If something can do more than one thing, that's a plus, because then that just means one less thing I have to buy. So this thing is really freaking cool. So it comes with this stick situation here. So it's the base with the motor, your power outlet, and then it can become a food processor, a little mini one if you only need a little one, and then you push the button and it releases. It can become an immersion blender. Well, pow. This is actually really handy. I use this a lot for soups or sauces or things like that, and I just stick it in. And it can also become a whisk. So a lot of times, maybe I don't need the huge stand mixer whisk. A hand whisk might take too long, so this is a nice, quick, easy one. I use it a lot for whipping milks and creams. Stick it in here. And then the immersion blender I used for this as well. It also came with this handy little dishwasher and microwave safe plastic container that you can mix sauces, whatever it is. It's got the milliliters on the side. It's got ounces and cups over here. So overall, this is something we've had for a while and I use quite often. So I highly, highly recommend it. It is a Cuisinart Smart Stick and it's on Amazon right now for $59.99. So I dropped a link down below in the description if you want to check it out. There's other models and makes as well, but we have the Cuisinart one. And how long have you had this, Mr. Bacon Chickens? Because I inherited this one too.
That's right. I was waiting for you to give me credit. That was mine.
It is yours.
Oh my God, probably 10 years at least.
Over 10 years.
Yeah.
Longer than that. So yeah, we've had this way longer than 10 years and it's working really, really great. I have no complaints. My only complaint is the top of this for the food processor, you can't submerge it underwater. So we are notorious for after we do stuff, we just kind of throw everything into the sink and we let it sit and soak. So if this gets underwater, like the plastic parts, water will seep in and then like you can hear it in here and it's kind of like gross, yucky dishwater. So that's my only complaint. Thanks for watching another segment of Shit in My Kitchen. All right, and we're back. Hey, I hope you liked that segment of Shit in My Kitchen. Mr. Bacon with Chickens is delighted because it just gives him a reason to buy more kitchen gadgets and things. So let me know what you think. What did you think of that Smart Stick? Do you guys have one? Have you used it? It's one of my favorite tools. I like that there's all these attachments and it's just one thing. All right, so I am now stirring my dry ingredients together. I have this bowl that's a little bit too small, so I'm being tender with it. I'm just stirring in all of the stuff with the flour. Check it out. All right, so now I'm just gonna add all the dry ingredients into the butter and the sugar, and then we're gonna mix that all together. Yeah. Okay. Marilyn, are you baking along? How you doing over there?
KitchenAid one as my main mixer. Oh, the KitchenAid stick.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, how does it stack up?
Okay, I'm gonna turn this on while you guys want to chit chat about how does that stack up. Hmm? You can't see anything. You're gonna have to do a couple. So now you should have a nice crumbly dough in here. With a lot of these kind of like herb-based cookies, any cookies really, honestly, letting your cookie dough sit and rest for a few hours is really, really ideal because it will allow the flavors in your cookies to just kind of meld together and settle and infuse better. Again, because this is a 1-hour cooking show, I'm not going to let mine sit, but if you have time and you want to let your dough sit, I highly, highly recommend it. Especially with something like this, like an Earl Grey. Like I'm just putting in tea leaves, but it will actually make the flavor a lot significantly better if I let it sit for at least a few hours or even overnight. I know my friend Kirsten over at The Very Best Cookie, who was a guest on our last episode for the Magic Blondie bars, which, by the way, shout out for the Magic Blondie bars. If you haven't ordered them yet, you can still get them on theverybestcookie.com. They're all hitting everybody's mailboxes right now, but you can still order them through April or until we run out of chocolate eggs. So check it out. I know Marilyn ordered some and said they were delicious and amazing. Highly recommend. Okay, so, I was gonna say, so Kirsten from The Very Best Cookie, I know that she lets her cookie dough sit for two days, 48 hours before she cooks them. So that's why her cookies have delicious, yummy flavor, and they're the very best in the whole wide world. All right, so I'm just using my hands to mush it all together to make a nice dough. Because this is butter, so if it's hot and it's very warm in your kitchen, it might become too soft and be difficult to work with. So if that happens, you just need to pop it in the fridge or in the freezer to chill a little bit, right? It's butter, so if it's too hot, the butter is going to start melting, and if it's, so you need to chill it down to get it to hold together. Okay, so next up, we're gonna roll it. And I'm gonna put this down so that my board does not, I have like a damp cloth under here so my board doesn't roll around. And check it out, I have all these beautiful flowers that I am cooking with. And here, I will talk to you about edible flowers really briefly. So check it out. Okay, so I have all these flowers that I picked. I rinsed a couple off here and I patted them dry. So these pink flowers, if you can see, pink flower, where are we? Here we go. Pink flowers. These are dianthus. They're kind of like, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish petals, and they kind of got like the little spiky edges. You've probably seen these. They're called dianthus, and these are edible. I've got some purple, yellow, and orange violas. Violas are very small, cute little flowers like this. You're probably familiar with them. These are also edible. And violas actually look a lot like pansies, but they're like cousins, right? So like these are just really small. These are a little bit bigger. Pansies are also really beautiful. So bigger, smaller. And then this is just an orange viola. I also have rose petals growing. We have other things. There's nasturtium. Borage is edible. So edible flowers are super cool. You can pick them, grow them, and there's a whole bunch of different tips about edible flowers that we want to share with you today. So did you know that certain varieties of flowers are totally edible? Yeah, that means you can eat the flowers and they add a nice little flavor to them, or sometimes they're just really pretty. So these little purple and white guys we have here are called violas, and they're really small, and these are totally edible. These yellow ones over here are calendula. These are really great for a medicinal herb. You can use these for a salve, you can use these dried in a tea. These pink ones are called dianthus. You've probably seen these around. Those are also edible. And I've got 2 big rose bushes back there. You've seen me bake and cook with rose petals. Those are also edible. So the cool thing about edible flowers is you can absolutely grow your own in your garden. There's a couple things you want to keep in mind. You want to make sure that any edible flowers you are getting for any cooking and baking are organic. You don't want any pesticides sprayed on these because ick. We don't want that. Also, if you're fertilizing your flowers, which is important because flowers need food, you want to make sure you don't get them on the flowers. Rinse them off, rinse off your flowers, and try to make sure that you're not getting any fertilizer on those flowers, because otherwise you're eating fertilizer. So the more often you pick your flowers, actually the more they grow. So I keep picking and harvesting these flowers, but they just keep on popping up again. So the more often you pick your flowers, that means the plant has more energy to create more flowers. Cool, huh? You can also press your flowers between books to dry them and use that in your baking as well. Neat, huh? So that's all about edible flowers. If you are looking around trying to find some things to make edible flowers with and you don't know if you can eat them, I highly recommend Googling it first. Don't just eat any flower, because some are actually poisonous. Dude! Some are actually poisonous and you don't want to eat them. So there's only certain varieties of flowers are edible, so make sure you know your flowers. And there's an app for that. I use Picture This or iSeek, and you can take your phone and just scan it and it'll show you, it'll identify the flowers for you. Fun? Cool? Do you guys have, what edible flowers are you guys working with here? If you're growing flowers, we actually made a point to grow an edible flower garden because finding edible flowers is really, really difficult and expensive. So growing your own really is the best way to go. And then I've been picking them all and drying them between sheets of parchment paper in my cookbooks so that I can use them later. So that's another good tip too. So if you've got flowers, just put them between, rinse them, pat them dry, and then put them between sheets of parchment paper and press them between books. And then in about 7 to 10 days, they're dry, store them, and then you can use them for all sorts of things. Cool, huh? All right, so I've taken my about half of my cookie dough and I've placed it on my, here on my flat surface. I like to roll my shortbread and my pie doughs between sheets of parchment paper to prevent sticking. Actually, that is a great idea. I should probably do that. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, look, ha, ha, ha. I have a little bit of flour here. So I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of flour. These don't tend to stick too much. If you find your shortbread is sticking a lot, that's what I said about popping it in the fridge. They're really not that, it shouldn't be that bad, but it just, a little flour helps. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna just take my rolling pin. So I'm gonna cover it between sheets of parchment paper. Again, this is my tip for pie dough too. So if you've never seen, I have an episode about tips for perfect pie dough, and you'll see me rolling between sheets of parchment paper so that they don't stick and you don't have to use so much flour, which makes your cookies and your pie dough dry and gummy and yucky. So yes, it uses a lot of parchment paper, but it's worth it for the texture of the cookie. All right, so I'm just gonna roll it until it's about a 1/4 inch thick or so. It's really up to you. If you like thinner, snappier shortbread cookies, make them thinner. If you like them a little bit thicker, then make them that way. There's no wrong here. And hey, so like this is my rolling pin that I really like to use. It is a sawed off broom handle that I inherited from my grandmother on my mother's side, and it is my absolute favorite tool. I don't know, I just like it better than regular rolling pins, and holding it in my hands, like it feels good. Like it's like I've got years and years of grandma knowledge like in this little stick, and it's one of my most prized possessions. If you don't have a rolling pin, no worries. A wine bottle makes a perfect rolling pin substitute. Yeah, see, check it out. Okay, so you want a wine bottle like this, right? That's flat and cylindrical, not like a bulbousy one. And you just go like that. Totally works. Crazy, huh? Anyway, so this is a Rabble Rosé wine. I don't know if you're like me and you buy wine based on labels. I do, so the prettier the label, and if it has a chicken on it, I'm more likely to buy it. But you can totally use a wine bottle.
Okay, I'd like to catch up on a little bit of comments.
Yeah.
Oh, Marilyn is baking along.
Sweet. Oh, I might
And
have
she
made these
says,
too thin.
well, my meringue failed a few weeks ago. When I asked her how the food processing attachment worked, on her KitchenAid, she said, not very well.
Oh. Well, good to know.
Yeah, ours works great for what we need it for. I wish it had a little more horsepower.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so you're seeing me redoing this, and I'm redoing this because I rolled it a little too thin for my taste. So I just folded it back on top of itself, and I'm gonna re-roll. So, see, look, it's okay. You can make mistakes. You just keep on baking.
Maryland for flowers. I've got borage,
Ooh.
calendula,
Oh,
nasturtiums,
That's a good one.
and lavender.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I love nasturtiums. Are those like orange and yellow flowers that you see all over the hillsides in LA right about this time of year? They're very much a spring flower and they're totally edible. They have a little bit of a peppery flavor, which is really cool. So you can eat the flowers, you can press them in cookies, toss them in salads, pastas, whatever. And then the little seed pods, the little green seed pods, are also edible. They're really good if you pickle them, and you have pickled nasturtium seed pods. Oh, what else is good? Oh, the leaves. You can also eat the leaves in a salad or saute them as greens. Borage flowers are these little purple flowers. They're really pretty and delicious candied. They are a good companion plant. If you grow them in the garden, they're really good next to almost any other like vegetable type thing that you might grow. So if you don't know about companion planting, that is the art of planting certain things next to each other to optimize their growth. Like certain plants like to grow next to certain plants. Like basil grows really well next to tomato, which is also why they taste great together in a dish. Okay, so I'm gonna flour this a little bit. So this is my way of getting this off the paper without it sticking, right? Okay, so now I do this with my pie dough too. So I go like this, I hold both of them, I put one hand on top, and then really fast, with conviction, flip it. Okay, ready? That's it. See, look, no sticking. How beautiful.
Marilyn says she also grabbed sage. Not sure how that will taste.
Oh, that'll be good. Are you putting the sage in the cookie, or are you just pressing it on top? That's my question. Because you could do both, really. Actually, like sage cookies would be really yummy. All right, let's see. What's the best way to do this? I feel like I am low on space here.
What do you need? You want me to take that?
No, I need it next to
Oh,
me.
you need it.
Okay, I'm gonna move these aside a bit. All right, so hopefully you can see this. Okay, so I've got my cookies. I like mine a little bit thicker. That's just my personal preference. I think I'm gonna use this orange medium size. All right, so I am using these cookie cutters that I bought. The round cookie cutters to cut round shapes. If you don't have round cookie cutters, anything works, whatever you got. You got a glass, flip, just, here, check it out. You got a cup, use a cup. You got a ravioli stamp, use a ravioli stamp. A lid of a mason jar, use that. I am all about using whatever you have and not having to buy more things if you don't have to. So if you don't have these things, it shouldn't hinder you from baking and making the things that you want. Just look around and get creative. All right, so I'm gonna use my cookie cutters and I'm gonna press these little cookies in and cut my shapes out. So I was reading that there are two different techniques. So sometimes if you're making these cookies, you can make them by pressing the flours on and then baking them. And then another person said that putting the flours on after baking is actually prettier because it will not burn the flour. Because like when you put it in the oven, it is gonna bake a little bit and they'll cook. So I thought it would be fun to try both versions so that we could see what that looks like. So first I'm gonna do the pressed and bake, and then I'm gonna do some where I bake and then press after. And we'll see the difference, and you can tell me which one you think are prettier. All right, so here's what I do. So I cut them out first so I can see the shape and the size, and then I pick my flowers. So here, I'm gonna use one of my pretty pansies, and I'm just gonna stick it here on top. And it pretty much takes up the entire cookie because of the size that I picked, but that's okay, whatever. I can do 2 flowers per cookie. Check it out. So I just basically take them and I just like press them into the tops. And like if there's any extra like thick stems or weird things, like I try to pick them off if I can, but if not, it's totally fine. It's gonna taste okay. Dried flowers also do really well. I think if you're gonna use dried flowers on these cookies, I would put them on after so that they don't continue to bake more. I mean, this is so easy. You could totally do this with herbs. Like, so Marilyn, you're asking what to do with sage. Like, you would just take the sage leaf and just press it in.
Oh, Marilyn says she's going to press it with lavender so it looks pretty.
Ooh, that'll be pretty. Let's see, what do I got? Okay, I'm going to do a little baby flower. Baby flowers. Okay. All right, and then so after you've pressed them, so this is the press the flowers on before you bake, put your parchment paper on top again, and then just give it, oops, don't crinkle the petals like I did. And then just give it a little roll to flatten and press it. Like don't press too hard, just a little to like adhere it. Peel it off, cut it out again and stick it on your baking sheet. And that's it. Uh-oh. Will you fit? Okay. The pansy is very large. Or the, what is it? What is that? A viola? No, the little ones are violas. The pansies are the big ones. Ay. And if you don't know if flowers are edible or not, don't eat it. Don't eat it if you don't know, because there are a lot of things that look edible, or you might think, or it looks similar to something else, but they're not. And please don't poison yourself. Make sure you know what you're eating before you eat them. Foragers' #1 rule. If you, I like to use an app whenever I go walking around. I like to like identify plants. I use an app called iSeek, or there's an iPick. So iSeek is very cool. You can just scan, like basically take your phone and scan, so like take a picture of it and upload it, and it'll tell you and identify exactly what the plants are. And like, it's been pretty accurate. There's been a few times where they're like, we don't know. And if I don't know, then I'm not gonna take the risk. But most of the time, I know. Right, and these cookies are so fun to make. They're fun, they're really festive, and like you see like how easy they are. Like it's just butter, flour, sugar, some herbs. These are fun to make with kids if you've got kids who are into this kind of thing. There we go. Okay, and then any leftover dough, we just kind of like smash together and re-roll. What's that sound?
I don't know.
There's a little beepy noise happening. Okay. So I'm just going to do a little more here so it's no sticky. Should we catch up on some comments? What do we got?
Let's see. That's it, we're caught up.
Okay, good. Oh, good. What else can we chit chat about? Let's see.
Well, we do talk about how much you love tea parties?
I did not. So, ooh, that's a great suggestion. So these cookies, like if you're ever having like a little tea party, a little brunch or something like that, these are really fun cookies to make for them because look at, they're so beautiful. Who wouldn't love eating them? And you know, I've been known to have some tea parties with my chickens. Yeah. So that's Olga Berry, that's Raspberry, R.I.P., rest in peace, my beautiful Raspberry. And we're having a little tea party on the roof. I made some egg salad sandwiches, and oh, hey, she's stealing a piece. Yeah, chickens. So if you don't know, chickens are notorious food stealers. They will steal anything and everything that is in front of you because they like to eat. That's what they do all day long. That's Raspberry and I are having a little tea party kiki with my Seville orange pie. If you like Seville orange pie, or if you want to see my award-winning KCRW award pie, there's an episode on how to make that. Also, something cool to mention too. So if you're making these shortbreads and you want to try different variations, this is the same recipe base as my rose pistachio cookies. I use dried rose petals and incorporate that into the dough. So if you have any roses, that's a beautiful way to incorporate it. So I did roses and I just subbed some ground pistachios in for the flour. Let's see. Okay. And then what else? Let's see. Okay. Oh, and then if you like shortbreads, I also have a lemon shortbread bar that's really, really, really delicious that I highly recommend you could check out as well. That is an infused recipe, but you could easily make that not infused. Oh, hey, by the way, if you're following me on Instagram, I am in a cannabis cook-off competition. How cool is that? So 3 years ago, I knew absolutely nothing about cannabis, and I am so, so proud that I was invited to participate in this. So I'm in a cannabis cook-off competition. I won my first appetizer round, but the entree round is coming up this Wednesday. So I would appreciate your vote and check it out. I do infused recipes. Not all my recipes are infused, but it's easy to make any of them infused if you're interested. And if you see an infused recipe that I've made and you want to make it just regular, you can do that too. You just omit the cannabis part. Super easy. And since it is April and 420, the national holiday of cannabis, is coming up on April 20th, I'm going to tell you, you heard it here first, we're going to launch a new show here on Baking with Chickens Live. It's going to be, so this is the daytime version of the show. We're going to do a late night version, and it's going to be Baked with Chickens. So I'm going to get high AF and bake all of these really delicious things fueled by my munchies. And it's an opportunity to talk about and educate about cannabis and cooking with cannabis.
In a really approachable way.
Yeah, in a really approachable way. So I get it. Like cannabis can be, if you're not familiar with it, it can be really, really intimidating, right? You're like, oh, what do I do? How do I do this? But like, it shouldn't be. Like it's, once you kind of get the hang of it, to me, it's just like cooking with any other herb, right? Like, so if we were doing this, I might have infused my Earl Grey into the butter before adding it in, because that would intensify the flavor. So cannabis is just like that. Like I treat it just like another herb, just like a sage. You could use the leaves to press into a cookie. So I'm gonna talk all about cannabis baking and cooking on Baked with Chickens. That's going to launch and go live on 4/20, because why not? So 4/20 is on a Tuesday. It's gonna be on this exact same channel, and it'll be another live show if you wanna tune in and tune into that. It'll probably be, I think 10 p.m. is what we're thinking, right? Mr.
Yeah, it depends on East Coast, West Coast.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. 10's a little, I don't know, but then like
yeah, we gotta figure that out, but people chime in.
Yeah, tell me what time. Is 10 o'clock past your bedtime, or is that like perfect for munchie time? And of course, you know, all of these are available to watch afterwards, and we are working on, and by we I mean Mr. Baking with Chickens, editing down these hour-long episodes into shorter versions. So you can watch just the short version for the recipe if you'd like, and then if you want to watch the longer version, you totally can. Okay, so here we go. I've got my tray of cookies. So I have one set that's already pressed here, and we're going to see how those bake up. And then I have these without flowers, and I'm going to put the flowers on after while the cookies are still hot. Okay, so these are gonna go into the oven for about 15-ish minutes, just until they're a very light golden brown. You don't wanna over bake them because then they're hard and crispy. So into the oven they go, and all right, maybe I'm not gonna do this like this. All right, bake, my beautiful children, bake. All right, so I'm gonna grab my egg timer because this is my egg timer, and I'm gonna turn my time to about 15 minutes. And hey, you know what? Like I said, this is a very analog episode today with the mortar and pestle, with the egg timer. Normally, I would ask one of my smart devices to set me a timer. I'd use the oven, but you know what? Sometimes things happen, and these little manual things are great. And if you've never used an egg timer, check it out. We've got a little segment all about it. And it's another Shit in My Kitchen, where I get to review gadgets that Mr. Baking with Chickens bought because he can't help himself. So today we are talking about timers. These manual analog timers that some of you probably forgot what they look like, because all we have to do now is say, Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, starting now.
The nerdy fact about this that Mr. Baking with Chickens really wants me to tell you is that for these, you have to turn them all the way to the very end to activate the spring mechanism, and then you set it to the time that you want. And the reason why you have to do that is because you have to activate that spring so that it will get your time accurately. If you only turn it to the time that you want, so if I had only turned it to like 20 minutes, it will not actually ding and ring the bell when it gets to the end, and my time might not be accurate. So that's stuff that we forgot how to do because this is an analog device and we live in a digital age. Alexa, cancel alarm.
There's no alarm set.
Sometimes these things come in really handy. I mean, a lot of times I use the timer here, or I use those timers on my phone, and like having this really loud analog thing, like I can see the time, things don't mess up, I don't accidentally push the wrong button on a digital timer. So I'm a huge fan. Don't know why we needed to, but Shit in My Kitchen. Let me know which one you like. Oh, you're okay, you're okay. Fun, huh? I had no idea. So we bought this egg timer and we're like, it's broken. Why doesn't it work? Duh. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that little egg timer thing. Wait, hang on. So Mr. Baking with Chickens is handing me all of these eggs because I want to show you something. Unfortunately, we're not able to go up to the chicken coop today. The camera was not working, but I did want to take a second to show you this. And Marilyn, who is here baking along, also has chickens, so she understands what is happening here. Okay.
Oh, wait, let's catch up on some comments.
Oh yeah.
Because there's questions about.
Perfect.
What do you think about using orange blossoms on these? From Marilyn.
Oh, that would be really pretty. I think they might burn. They're very delicate, but like you could totally try it. I've never tried that. I might try that next because I've got a bunch of little Meyer lemon and lime blossoms, but I think orange blossoms would be pretty too.
Santa Rosa plum blossoms are crazy out there.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Like chive, if you want to make savory cookies, like cheesy savory, you could use chive flowers. Broccoli flowers taste like broccoli. It's crazy. So do chive flowers. They're really cute. Chive flowers are like this little like purple like puff, and they're really yummy, and you can just like snip them over salads. Those would be really pretty sprinkled and pressed. Yeah, I never thought about fruit tree flowers. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
Because they kind of have a little flavor. Like, so flowers, especially like fruit tree flowers and like herb flowers, have a little bit of a hint, like a very subtle hint of the plant that they're growing naturally, because the fruit and the things come from the flowers, right? So it's a really cool way to incorporate a little bit of flavor in your food. So I love, if we have lots of flowers, I like sprinkling them into salads, over pastas, lots of different ways you can eat them.
Dan says, you just set my Alexa timer for 10 minutes. You should try editing it with Alexa in your studio. That was just my glasses. And I was editing it over and over, and every time it came on, my Alexa in the back of the room would go off.
I know. They're so silly. They work and they kind of don't work, like,
Marilyn says she's trying it.
Oh, yay. Yeah, I can't
Cool.
wait to see how they turn out.
Uh-oh. Dan says, Mr. Bacon with Chickens loves to buy fun stuff. How's that crossbow?
Yeah, how many times have we seen? So at the start of COVID, a year ago, Mr. Bacon with Chickens freaked out and decided he needed to buy a tactical crossbow.
I wouldn't say freaked out. I mean,
You
I
freaked
already had 2 machetes.
He watched Contagion, freaked out, and bought a machete.
2.
So 2 machetes. Well, because you thought you lost one, and then you bought a second one. And now we have a tactical crossbow, none of which we use because I don't know why. So I don't know what you thought you were going to shoot with said tactical crossbow. Maybe, I don't know. We can move on. Anyways, that has nothing to do with baking. Hi, Dan. How are you? Thank you for joining. All right, I'm going to move on, and we're going to talk about these eggs. Okay, so this recipe, as you saw, had no eggs. You could actually use some eggs. You know what could be cool is with flours, to make a candied flour, all you would do is take these, you would, and then you would brush them with some egg whites. What?
I think the timer's off.
What do you mean?
Did you do the egg timer?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fine.
It's ticking?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Stop distracting. All right, so to make candied flours, really easy. All you need are egg whites, some fresh flowers, and sugar. So you would basically take the flours and brush it with some egg white or dip it. I think brushing is probably better. And then you sprinkle it with granulated sugar. And then you set it out and you let them dry. And then once they dry, you've got candied flowers. So candied flowers would also be really pretty on top of these. If I wanted to use eggs, I could probably also brush some egg whites on top of the entire cookie while it's hot, and then it'll just dry and like kind of solidify it and make it really pretty. And you could sprinkle sugar on top and it'll look very sparkly with like that sparkly sugar. I did that with my cannabis leaf lime swirly buns. There is a recipe for that on my site. We didn't make an episode yet, but those have been very, very popular. And those weren't infused. Those, I just used cannabis leaves, which won't get you high. And I incorporated them into like a cinnamon bun, basically. And I candied the leaves, and it was really cool. They looked like little bedazzled, bejeweled leaves on top of it. So that's another fun technique that you could use and play with. Okay, so about all these eggs. So these are all of the eggs we have going on here. So check this out. I got eggs. I got more eggs. There's more eggs here and more eggs here. Oops. Oh, this is the new one. And I got more eggs here. But none of these eggs we can actually eat. Why? Why do I have, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dozen eggs that I can't eat? Why is this? Okay, so the reason why is because, so chickens, while adorable and lovely, are dirty, dirty, nasty little creatures. And these dirty, nasty little creatures have tapeworm. Yeah, so not always, but you know, it happens. It's a thing that happens because I allow my chickens to free range. Now, if I controlled them and they never were allowed to go outside and they had a very specific feed and they didn't touch any bugs or anything, they probably wouldn't get tapeworms. But because they're chickens and we let them free range so that they can be chickens and be out in the sunshine and eat bugs like they're supposed to, snails, lizards, things like that, can eat something that has a tapeworm, and then they get it inside, and then the chickens eat that, and then they have tapeworms inside. So like, it's not life-threatening in small amounts, but like if you leave it untreated, it will get worse and worse, and the tapeworms steal nutrients from inside the chicken. And so I noticed that they had little tapeworm bits in their poo because I examined their poo too close for comfort, and if you've never examined chicken poo like that, I don't recommend it. And I saw, like tapeworm looks like little teeny tiny grains of rice in their poo, but they move really slowly. It's just absolutely disgusting. So it's like little grains of rice in their poo, and you see them and they're kind of like, and I'm like, what is that? So those are tapeworm segments that the tapeworms inside of their intestines are shedding, and they could be eggs. So that's when I noticed it, and I had to give them medication to deworm them. So I had to give them the medication, but that means there's an egg withdrawal egg withdrawal period, which means once I give them the medication, I can't eat their eggs for about 2 weeks because there could be some residual medication that works through their bodies and into their eggs. And while in Europe, the particular medication that I used, Safeguard, which is fenbendazole, says that there's no withdrawal period. But in the US, it is not FDA approved for use in chickens, and there is a withdrawal period because the residual, if humans eat it, could potentially cause some allergies. So to be safe, we don't eat the chicken eggs until it's worked its way out of their system. However, it takes 2 doses. So I have to give them 1 dose, and then like 10 days later, 7 to 10 days later, I have to give them a second dose to make sure any eggs have been properly killed. So because my chickens are laying 5 eggs a day, this is 5 eggs a day for basically 3 to 4 weeks that I can't eat. It's hard, you guys, it's heartbreaking. Like, I can't eat any of these eggs. I save them because we can cook them up and feed them back to the chickens, or I feed them back to the dog. Miles will eat, he loves eggs, so he'll eat them. So we just make sure we cook them really, really well before we eat them. But, chickens. So that is why we are doing a recipe with no eggs today.
What do you do to the chickens when they get really filthy?
And then, oh, you know what? And again, like I said, chickens are dirty, dirty little creatures. We're also fighting lice. It's just that, you know what? It's that time of year, like spring sprung, and everything is out and buzzing, and there's lots of stuff. So they've got lice, they've got gross things, they're eating things, and Fizzleberry had a very poopy, poopy butt and lice. So this is what I had to do to her. How to give your dirty poop butt chicken a bath. Because Miss Fizzleberry here has a disgusting little poop butt, and it's crusting and it's smelling and it's gross, and even though chickens give themselves baths, she needs a little help. So I'm gonna take her inside and I'm gonna show you how I give her a bath. Let's go. So I've got a tub in my bathtub here filled with lukewarm water because I don't want to give her a chill, to keep her warm, and then I'm basically just gonna dunk her in it, see? And then we're gonna wash the poo off of her butt. All right, ready? There you go. There you go. Poo. So this is super disgusting. I don't like doing it, but it's better than a disgusting chicken butt. Because the problem with leaving the poo crusted is that it starts to stink, and then bugs get on it and larvae. It's gross. So sometimes we all need a little help cleaning our butts, don't we, Fizzleberry? So I'm just getting in here with my hands, with my, I don't know if you can see, and I'm just kind of breaking up the poo that is crusted on her feathers. And this is good too if your chickens have lice. So all my chickens, like, I'm trying to deal with lice too, so this is extra helpful because it'll drown out the lice and it'll help kind of just keep them clean. And I'm going to spray them with a poultry protector to help ward off some of the ickies. Yeah. Clean chicken. All right, let's dry you off. 1, 2, hut.
Oh.
That was not the way nice chickens are supposed to behave. Here's her kolaka, and then little eggy area. And then these are her feathers when they're wet. So I'm gonna spray her with some of this poultry protector first. So this is from Mana Pro, and it is a natural way to help protect from mites, lice, fleas, and ticks. It has potassium sorbate, inert ingredients, water, yeast, citric acid. It's just kind of a nice way to spray without using chemicals to get rid of fleas and lice and all these gross things. Okay. Ooh, ooh, that's a little sting on your butt, huh? Sorry. So I'm gonna put my hair dryer on warm and blow dry her a little bit to dry her off. All right. And that's, oh. Thank you. You just pooped all over your freshly cleaned feathers. Look at that. I squeezed her too hard and she pooped. Here goes, nice and clean. Good job, Fizzies. So when I pulled them out of the oven, I said, so you'll know the cookies are done when they're just slightly golden brown on the edges. And the bake time is really gonna depend on one, your oven temp, and also your cookie thickness. So the thicker your cookies, the longer they're gonna take to bake, right? The thinner they are, they're gonna bake up a lot faster. So these dianthus kind of have a, they have like a thick stem. So I pulled the stem off. I don't know about this. I don't know about this fresh flowers on cookies thing, you guys. I kind of like them like that. Like they pressed very nicely. But good enough. All right, cool. So these are really pretty. I like the way they look. See, look, you can like mix and match flowers. Like I like to just do different colors. Okay, that did not. All right, so if your cookies are hot, the flowers should adhere nicely. But this is definitely, okay. My verdict here is, yes, they look really pretty. Ooh, look at those kind of got all nasty. I don't like the way that looks. I'm gonna pull those off. It definitely, it's brighter, but it's kind of more fussy and I don't know how I feel about it. Because I'm putting them on hot cookies, the petals should kind of like wither down and stick, and they're doing okay. Not my favorite. I think I like the original. I think if you're using a big flower like these giant pansies, those are doing really well. These smaller, more delicate flowers are having a harder time. But they also kind of did that here too. So dianthus, okay, so my verdict here is the dianthus, these guys. Where's your flower? Here you go. These type of flower isn't looking so pretty. These may be prettier as a confetti and something else. They're not baking up that nice. But the pansies and the violas are gonna look really good. I know for a fact nasturtiums will look great. Marilyn, yours are gonna be fantastic. There. Okay, so while these are cooling down a little bit, I'm gonna make a glaze. So a glaze is, do a back to the front facing camera, Mr. Bacon Chickens. Okay, so I'm gonna make a little bit of a glaze. So this is what I like to do with my shortbread cookies. This isn't something I've really seen anybody else do. And the reason why I like to put just a tiny, tiny thin glaze on the cookies is it just gives it an extra oomph, like a little extra flavor, something, pop that the cookies really need. I find plain shortbread cookies just to be a little too plain and dry, and when you do a glaze, it just gives it that little extra something that makes it very delicious. My friend and neighbor Mark, who loves shortbread cookies, was like, what's your secret? How do you make them? Guys, glaze. Typically, I make like something with lemon, and I would use lemon juice as my liquid. So you can really mix and match. The proportion is about 1/3 of powdered sugar to about a tablespoon of liquid. So today I'm just using powdered sugar and oat milk because I'm doing an Earl Grey and lavender cookie, I want a flavor that is gonna match with it. If I really wanted to go above and beyond, I might have infused my milk with lavender or Earl Grey, but I'm just gonna leave it plain. It's just so that it's gonna help hold the flowers in. And I kinda like it because it looks like Han Solo, like encased in carbonite. If you are a Star Wars nerd like that, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, don't worry about it. Nerd fest. Okay, so I have more milk here than I need. And this is like, you don't have to worry about being exact. What I like about like powdered sugars and glazes is that you just kind of mix and match until you get the consistency you want. So I want it, right, like if this is too thin, I'm just gonna add a little more powdered sugar. If it's too thick, you add a little bit more liquid, and then you just kind of keep doing that until you get exactly what you want. And this should be a little bit thin, like not watery thin, but here, do a top down. Yeah, can you do a top? Okay, so,
watch it drip.
So like, right, like it's a little bit runny. Like this shouldn't be like a thick donut glaze because that's gonna ruin the cookie. You've got these really beautiful, delicate cookie with delicate flavors. You don't wanna mess it up with like too much goo. It's kind of the American way, right? Mess everything up with too much sugar. I'm like really mean on that though. I don't know, I find that too many things have too much sugar. I prefer less sugar, a little more salt, and just subtle flavors. Okay, so you just stir it until it's smooth. And then,
show us that consistency.
oh yeah. Oh, Mr. Bacon with Chickens, can you run and grab me the drying rack, the baker's rack? I forgot to grab it.
Yeah, cookie rack?
Yeah, the cookie rack.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay,
Saw
so,
that.
yep, go, run.
Cool.
Okay, so that's what this looks like. So see, like it's nice and runny. I mean, it's really up to you. I find that slightly runny is better. You want it to be able to coat the spoon. So see, like it's kind of coating the back of the spoon here, and it's dripping, but slowly. You can test one and see what it's like, and then you can mix and match later. I did not infuse it with Earl Grey tea because I was worried that if I infused it, it would kind of take on like that tea color, and then it would color the tops of the cookies, which I did not want. So there is a method to my madness. All right, so we're gonna let the cookies cool on the pan for a little bit before transferring it, because you need the cookies to continue to bake a little bit on the pan. So stiffen before you lift them out. If you lift them out when they're too hot, they're gonna be soft and crumbly and they're gonna fall apart and all your hard work is gone. So there, look at that. So I like to just put it on like this. And generally, like you want the cookies to be a little bit cool before you start glazing them, because if it's too hot, the glaze is just gonna melt right off and then you won't have any. I like to put the baking rack back into my baking sheet so that when I brush them and the glaze starts dripping off, it's gonna catch all of it and not go all over my counter, because that's a pain in the butt to clean. All right, so I'm gonna let these cool for a little bit. Do we have a sec to catch up on comments?
Yes.
Whew, I've been like talking the whole time. I need some water. Whew, okay, what do we got?
Okay, we've got, Dan asks, would a light brush with egg wash after baking work to compress the flours with parchment paper and a book to press them to be glued down?
You wouldn't press it with a book. You don't have to do that.
Oh, and Marilyn's wondering the same thing.
Yep, so, okay. Wait, can you read that one more time?
Would a light brush with egg wash after baking work to compress the flours with parchment paper and a book to press them to be glued down?
I
so
see.
Maybe they're pressed in a book first.
I see.
Then you take them out, put them on, and do the egg wash.
Yes, so you can do that. Okay, so the question was about the set of cookies that I put the flours on after baking. Yes, if you did an egg wash, that would help it adhere. However, the heat of the cookie is supposed to do that. So you'll see it did kind of do that. The heat of the cookie did wilt the petals and stuck it on a little bit. I kind of like this method better. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. You know what? I don't know yet. I want to reserve my judgment until after I paint on the glaze, because they're actually holding pretty well. They look really good, and see, like the color is brighter. Like these are the same color pansy, but like this looks much brighter and prettier than the one that was baked, obviously, because it was baked, right? So it's just a look. It's kind of a preference of what you'd like. The yellow flowers and the orange flowers held up really well. So that's something to take in consideration too, as you're choosing what kind of flowers and what colors. Like the white flower kind of baked down and you can't really see it. Yeah, see, like there's the white flower, but on the fresh one, you can. So you would not, okay, so like after the cookies are baked and you press the flour down, I think putting parchment on top and putting a book on top is not a good idea, because the cookies are still hot, there's steam escaping. You don't want to block that steam from escaping. And like they're pretty flat. They're doing a good job on their own already. I don't think that's a necessary step. However, if you are drying flowers, so like this would actually be a really great technique to use with some of my dried flowers. So because I'm growing so many flowers in my garden, and Marilyn, you've got the same thing going on, I pick as many of them as I can, because when you pick, so if you remember from my flower segment, when you pick the flowers, it actually helps the plant grow more flowers, because you're taking the energy away from it trying to create seeds and turning it into producing more flowers. So I pick as many as I can. So all of these that I have sitting here, I'm gonna press between sheets of parchment paper and between cookbooks so that they're gonna be dry. And ooh, Dustin, can you bring me the pink cherry bomb cookbook? So I'm gonna dry those, and that would be a great candidate for that, actually. So if I have already dried flowers, using those to press onto the pre-baked ones would actually be a really great idea because they're already pressed flat. So shout out for Cherry Bomb. If you guys are not a fan, this is all about women and chefs in food, and they have a website, they have a podcast, they got a cookbook. Carrie from Cherry Bomb runs it, and she is fantastic and amazing. They have a conference called the Cherry Bomb Jubilee, and if you are a member, you are a member of the Bomb Squad. I was a guest on their podcast. Actually, I had a quick little mention on their podcast to talk about who I think is the bomb. So I gave a shout out to Jolene Rivera, who is the editor and publisher of Kitchen Toke magazine, a culinary cannabis magazine. So Cherry Bomb, check it out. They're very, very cool. A great community of women chefs and championing women who cook. So I like to press my flowers in cookbooks. So here are some that I pressed from mid-March. So you see, like, they flattened completely. Like, look how small they are. Can you do the top down? So they flattened completely. There we go. So they flattened completely, and this is what they look like. So these ones have already been pressed between a book. So these would actually be really great to put on top of the cookies that I did not press the flowers in right away. So maybe that's a really great tip. If you have fresh flowers, I would put them on before. If you've got dried flowers, I would do that after baking, because now these would adhere very, very nicely. Okay, so let me put these back. I've got like a whole ton of them. Like all my cookbooks are like jammed full of dried flowers right now because it's the season, and once it gets too hot here in Los Angeles, these flowers don't grow. So pansies, violas, dianthus, like they tend to be spring, cooler weather flowers. Like you would buy and plant violas and pansies in the fall here in Southern California because it doesn't get cold enough. So and it doesn't freeze. So we would put those in when it's a cooler weather, and if you're in Seattle, it's probably a spring type flower, and they're kind of nearing like the end of their harvest right now, although here they're doing really well. Okay, I'm gonna brush these because they're feeling pretty good. So I've got my glaze, I've got a little brush. I like using a silicone brush. It doesn't really matter what you got. Use what you have, and then I just dip it and get a little bit, whoops, and then I just brush a very, very thin glaze on top. And then when it dries, it'll dry clear. And like I said, nerdy Star Wars reference, it looks like Han Solo encased in carbonite. And it tickles me to no end. Woo, look at these.
Marilyn says, struggling not to eat all of my glaze while we wait.
Are you just eating it by the spoonfuls?
What kind of glaze did you make, Marilyn?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. What kind of glaze? Ooh, did you know geraniums are also edible? Those are a very popular flower around here. I don't grow geraniums, but I wander around my neighborhood and I harvest them from just when growing around. And how do I know that they're organic? I don't always, but a lot of times I can tell because if there's bugs on them or ants on geraniums, that's how I know that they probably are organic, because there's bugs on them, because bugs wouldn't be on them if they weren't. So you see how thin this is. Like I'm like really, like just barely, right? Like that's just my preference. I don't like a lot of glaze. I don't like a lot of sweetness. It's just enough to kind of give it a shot. Like you could leave it as is and not do the glaze, but I have found that the glaze makes all of the difference in the flavors of the cookies, and it just makes it prettier. Like That's my thing. In the photo on Instagram that I posted that had the geraniums and the lime, those were a lime zest cookie with pressed geraniums and like a lime glaze, and I pressed those with my ravioli punchy thing. Where's my ravioli punchy thing? I didn't have my round cookie cutters yet, but I do have these ravioli. Right, you can see it. I do have this little ravioli thing, and I punched it, and I liked it because it actually kind of looked like little bottle caps. Those are pretty. I might do that again. They look like bottle caps or like, you know, like scout badges. So if you're making like little themed cookies, that could be a really cute thing to do, like little badges with like flowers. Ooh, yeah, if you have kids, that could be cute. Like do like a little like flower nature, and then they earn their like flower badge made like a cookie.
Yes, I am a garbage person, said Marilyn. Oh, she made lemon glaze.
Ooh, I think the lemon glaze is really good. It's my favorite.
And she says, I'll try geraniums next time.
Do you grow geraniums, Marilyn? Because I'm going to come to your house and steal some.
Dan says, love the glaze idea. I'd do that on any cookie.
On any cookie. Just dip it like a donut.
Do that for my cereal.
Just glaze your cereal?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I guess that's called Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the glaze on the cookies that were fresh pressed, they're okay. Might be okay. So like the glaze definitely will dull the color a little bit because you're putting something over it, but I like it. So this is my, should probably taste one. I have no idea. This is my first time making these lavender Earl Grey ones. I just kind of looked around my kitchen and thought, what do I have? What can I make with these things? Which is usually how most projects start. And that's what Baked with Chickens is gonna be. I'm gonna be high, just looking around, scooting around my kitchen, looking for things to make. Mom, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but not sorry. I don't know. It's really cool. I love the fact that cannabis is legal and like people are taking like a whole new interest to it. There's like a whole different aspect that, you know, you probably didn't know about it. And like we've been getting really into like cooking with it because the plant, just like herbs, have different smells and scents and flavors. And you can pair that with your cooking, with your baking, and it actually matters. And those scents and those smells, just like herbs, will produce a desired effect. Like just like how lavender makes you feel calm, like right, lavender, Earl Grey, these are very calming cookies. Cannabis can do that too. A particular strain will actually, if you've got one that's high in the flavors, they're called terpenes. Look, you're getting a little preview of Baked with Chickens right now. It will give you a relaxed, sleepy effect. If you have a strain of cannabis that smells more lemony and it has limonene on it, right? Citrus makes you feel energized. So what I love about cooking and baking with cannabis is that you can play around with these different scents and flavors and pairings to get the type of desired effect you want, which is what I love about that cannabis cooking competition, right? Like if I'm making dishes to be served at a dinner party, right? Like the appetizers, like I want people to have high energy at the beginning. Like I want them to be chatty and friendly and having a good time. So I wouldn't give them an infused dish that has something that's going to make them feel sleepy. You want to give them the sleepy thing for dessert so that they can go home and like their night ends really well. So there's a whole art of it, which is really fun. I'm really getting into, and we're going to talk all about that on Baked with Chickens, the 420 late night edition. So I hope you guys will tune in for that if you are interested in cannabis cooking. All right, look at that. These are so beautiful. Ta-da!
Why don't we take a tour of them?
Ooh.
And you can point out what are the pre-pressed and what's
Okay.
not.
I will do so.
So you see there.
Okay, where are we? Oops.
Upper right corner.
This one.
There you go.
Okay, so this one is a cookie that was pressed with flours after baking. So you see it doesn't really adhere and press down as well. They got a little wrinkled, but they're okay. They're sticking up. The glaze is holding them down. I would say these are so-so. I'm okay with the way this looks. And then the one right behind it, where are we? This one. Again, also cool. I like that the fresh flowers are brighter. I think using the dried flowers for this technique is definitely the way to go. And if we come this way over to the side, follow my finger, follow my finger. So these over here are the ones that were pressed before baking, and I find that these look significantly better. I like the way that these, well, like with the fresh flowers anyway, like they adhered better, they pressed down. I think, you know, and it has a baked quality to it. Like this just kind of looks like I shoved some flowers on top of a cookie and painted them, which is what I did. Whereas these, I feel, look a bit more refined. They look like they're composed. They're meant to be this way. So fresh flowers, press and bake. Dried flowers, press after. And I think that's good to know because I don't always have fresh flowers. Sometimes I might only have dry flowers. So working with what we got. All right, so that is press sauce. Is there anything else that we missed, Mr. Bacon and Chickens?
Well, Marilyn had said, I'll try geraniums next time.
Yeah.
Oh, she also said, come anytime. They're mostly a chicken shady spot.
Oh.
So, well fertilized.
Oh, good, good. Oh, do you have any like lemon or rose geranium? Okay, so for geraniums, they're really easy plants to grow, right? They've kind of got the thick, fleshy stalk, almost like a succulent. And then, so there's ornamental geraniums, which they don't really smell or taste like anything. And that's mostly, if you see what people are growing, that's mostly what they have. There's also a variety called rose geranium and a lemon geranium that smell like lemon and smell like rose. And I've been trying to get my hands on those and grow them because if you're, I think I harvested some in the neighborhood that didn't have a flavor, and I'm like I would love to have a lemon or a rose geranium. But that's pretty cool. Like if you don't have roses, but you have a rose geranium, that's a great substitute, right? So I don't know if you have ornamental or if you have lemon or rose. I tried to do a cutting and it didn't work out so well.
Marilyn also says, update on my flowers. The calendula petals are a little too delicate and not sticking well.
What's a calendula? Okay, so a calendula is this, right? Okay, so this is a calendula. And this is a calendula, and I showed you some in the little flower segment. They are, so these are really great medicinal herbs and made for tea. Yeah, so Marilyn, you just like pluck the petals and like stick them in, I'm assuming is what you did. With calendula, they're really good for hand salve. So if you dry the petals and infuse them into like a coconut oil or something like that, you can make like lotion and hand salve, things like that. They're really good for mosquito bites, anti-itch, like rash, itchy kind of cream. It's got a lot of those properties in it. And calendula tea, you would take the whole flower and rinse it off and just make a tea with it. Really healthy. I forget the exact properties of calendula, but this is a really great medicinal herb to grow. I haven't quite baked with it, but I can't smell anything. I've just got like Earl Grey and lavender in my hands. But it has a really beautiful, they're in the marigold family. So they're really great to grow. Marigolds are marigolds edible? I believe I don't know if they are. I don't want to say that.
You want to feed me one next week on camera and
feed you and find out?
And find out. Mix a little oleander.
Yeah,
in.
no.
Marilyn also said, the sage smells great and is nicely browned. I'm curious about this sage. That sounds
good. Sage with a cheesy cracker, shortbread cracker. So like, okay, if I were to make a cheesy sage shortbread cracker cookie thing, I would basically take some kind of a hard dried cheese, like a Parmesan could be good, a Gruyere, like a nice hard cheese, grate it, and then, so you have to be careful because cheeses have oil, right? So you need to compensate for some of the oil in the cheese and take out some butter. And how much, I don't know. It sort of just really depends, right? Like, and you're gonna have to test it to try. So that's recipe testing. You're just kind of like trying things out to see what it would do. So I would take like a dry hard cheese, put some of that in, fold it in with the dry ingredients, and then maybe some dried sage, and then press those on top.
She also says the orange blossoms actually look really nice.
Ooh, I can't wait to see them. I will share them. I'm gonna find, Marilyn, tag me, post them to your Instagram stories, tag me, and I will share them so people can see what they look like.
And she says borage and nasturtiums seem foolproof.
Yes.
Love how yours came out. Oh, idea from Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Dried pressed flowers placed on top of the glaze after baking.
Yes, you could do that. For sure. That would for sure work. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be a more 3D relief.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, so it's, that's the cool thing. That's a great idea. So then it would just, you stick on top. But you know what, though? It depends. If you serve it right away, I think they would look really pretty. If you let them sit for a bit, the flowers are going to start to wilt and dry. So, sort of depends. That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Miss Reagan Chickens?
Marilyn says my big geraniums are ornamental, but I have the mosquito plant geranium too. It can be grown from cuttings, so let me know.
Oh, that would be
Is
cool.
that-
That's citronella? Yeah. We had some. They died. Also, those mosquito plants did not do anything to get rid of any mosquitoes. Just saying. We've got like crazy killer mosquitoes here that don't care.
Yeah. Oh, Dan says, yes, a Parm Romano garlic shortbread with basil pressed on top.
Basil will burn. You gotta be careful. So basil, as we've learned from making pizzas, Dan, you've been here for our pizza parties. So basil burn, it's a very delicate, soft leaf. So if you put it on and press it and then bake it, it will very likely burn and not be delicious. However, that would be a great candidate for pressing on fresh, because if you press it on while the cookies are warm, it will kind of go blah. Maybe not too hot though. You'd have to experiment with that, but that would be a great idea. Dan, please try it and come back and tell us how it would go. You know, it'd be really good if you chopped up some sun-dried tomatoes and mixed that in there too. Right? Okay, so this is totally an example of baked with chickens, right? So I'm gonna get high, and then we're just gonna talk about things and come up with these crazy ideas, and then I'm gonna figure out how to make them. I'm not high right now.
No.
All right, are there any other things that we missed, Mr. Reagan Chickens? Any segments and stuff that I forgot about? I think we got them all.
It feels like we covered it all. I mean, I keep monitoring the chicken cameras.
I mean,
They're not doing anything.
Look,
out there.
it's been an hour and a half, so this is supposed to be an hour episode, and this has gone on for a very long time. So,
the braid just asked a question. Time. Time.
Oh, thyme would be fantastic. Oh yeah, like a thyme and cheese.
Yeah.
You guys are really into these savory cookies. I like it. Bring it.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll do savory cookies next.
We
That's
should
a
do a
great one.
savory cookie.
Yeah, that's a great one. Maybe I'll do those for the bake sale.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for watching, you guys.
You gonna try it?
Oh yeah, I forgot
I mean,
all
come
about
on.
it. Okay, I'm gonna try this one. I'll try the ugly one. This one. No, that's not so ugly. This one's ugly. Okay. All right, let's try it. It's buttery. It's crispy. It's got that little hint of sweet from the glaze that I really, really like. And then it's got Earl Grey and lavender, but it's not like too much. And ooh, I got a little hit of salt from that quarter teaspoon of salt. Here, I'm gonna say here.
Here, show.
See, look at that. Take it. It's very good. I love it. I'm gonna keep eating another one. I'm gonna eat this ugly one. No, it's not.
Oh.
Marilyn, how do yours taste? Are you eating them yet? And hey, you know what? Just a reminder, if you want to order these cookies because you're too lazy to make them yourself, which I totally get because not everybody wants to bake, you just want to eat them. I'm going to be making these and selling them for my Bakers Against Racism bake sale coming up mid-April through May. So these actually ship nicely, so you can order them and I will ship them to you. So Just a reminder, stay tuned. Sign up for my email newsletter if you haven't already, bakingwithchickens.com/newsletter. And you can sign up. It's for the Magical Rainbow Chicken Train newsletter. I don't know, you guys. It comes out the first Sunday of every month, and I promise you there's fun, weird, bizarro facts that you maybe have never heard, things that I'm seeing. It's cool, exclusive content that you wouldn't get normally in other stuff. So my issue for this month, for April, just came out this morning, and there is a recipe for my deviled eggs in there that I actually made for my Bloody Mary Jane that won the Elevated 8 Cannabis Cook-Off competition. So sign up for my newsletter. If you're here, you're already here, hit subscribe, like, all of those things. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Happy Easter, happy Sunday, and
Marilyn said hers came out nice and crisp.
yes, Marilyn, I'm so proud of you. These ones worked out. All right, bake on, everybody, and thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Christina, your host. These are my dirty poop chickens, and bok bok bake.